Alright, welcome back. This is M-Dog, and we are taking another look at a really nice spot here on Volkhov. If you've been fishing for Ide or Bream, you may already know about this spot, but just in case you don't, I definitely wanted to share it with you. Looks like we got an Ide here. It's going to be a marker, not spectacular, but it'll be a marker, 1.3. If you've not fished for Ide before, they end up being really good silver, especially when you find a spot like this that gives you a decent chance of catching trophies. That's really what you're looking for. It's the name of the game when you're fishing for either Ide or Bream. If you can find a spot where you have a chance for trophies, you'll have a consistent silver rate of making decent silver, and then you'll have spikes of silver once you do land trophies. In this spot, which is at 71,100, we're casting to the south. You can see on the map here where we are and where we're casting. Anywhere from 50 to 70-75% casting. I'm using a Bunison picker rod and two Bunison feeder rods. This is my alternate account, so in terms of ground bait for the Ide, I'm making my own because I'm leveling up ground bait on this account, but it seems to be working great. Mostly what I'm using is a combination of ground crackers and fly maggots, although with some of them I've been adding, I'll show you what I'm doing here, crackers, fly maggots, as well as millet porridge. And what we're trying to do here is get as close as we can to ground bait combinations that we know works with both Ide and Bream, even though we can't do the actual full recipe yet because we haven't leveled up ground bait on this account. So now let's talk about the baits. The first fish I caught was actually on salmon 14. This one is going to be on halibut 14. And it looks like this is another decent Ide, somewhere between, I don't know, 1 to 2 kilos. And there he is in the water there. Nice one. So those are the first two baits we're using. This will be very similar if you saw the last Volkhov video I did. Very similar in terms of how we're catching them, what baits, our hook size. I'm still preferring to use size 6 hooks on the boilies, but only size 8 on the pea porridge, and that's what this is. Now, with the pea porridge, you're going to have just as much of a chance of catching a Bream as you are an Ide, and it'll give you a good indication of what's in the water. That's part of what I like about this spot, though, compared to some of the other spots right now, is you can target 3 different species right now in this spot. So this is a Bream, and this looks to be a nice one. Okay, 2.3 kilo Bream. So let's change one of our rods to target something else. The pea porridge is going to target sort of both Bream and Ide. So let's talk about targeting Bream in this spot. One thing I've told you before in videos that you want to do, by the way, we're still using the 9.7 fluorocarbon line. You may have noticed that. Oh, we're out of ground bait on this. We need to add it. But if you don't have that fluorocarbon line, remember, just use a fluorocarbon leader. Somewhere between 9 and 10 kilo leader should get the job done. And so let's change one of them. Let's see what kind of fish this is first. And let's change one of them. So this is a smaller. This may be something else entirely. It might not be an Ide or a Bream, or we could have just caught something small. Let's see. Yeah, it looks like that might be a river mussel, actually. A zebra river mussel, or a zebra mussel. Yeah, let's keep the pea porridge on there. It's a pretty consistent bait, no matter what you're trying to target here. So it's kind of the last one that I would change in terms of having the ability to catch different things. But let's look at this one. So this is the one we have the salmon on. If you want to catch Ide, which I think Ide is still the best fish to target in this spot, then you want to have what we've got right now. Salmon, halibut, and then pea porridge. The other option is tuna 16 instead of the pea porridge, but I just think the tuna is a little slower, and so I would do pea porridge over tuna right now. Let's target Bream instead, okay? So we're going to go size 8 hook, same ground bait, and we're going to switch to red worm. Now, if you've watched older Bream videos I've done, you will notice that in the past targeting bream, we've used pea porridge, we've used cottage cheese dough. At least targeting full-size bream, it's not very often that we've used redworms. It's just not typically been the best bait. But this is why you check the weeklies. Right now, what are most of the large bream coming out of the water on? Redworm. You see that one pea porridge. But if you look at the different regions, right now redworm is performing the best. So let's see what's on this pea porridge now. So we're going to put that redworm in, and that is a way for right now, in this spot, I would recommend targeting bream. Size 8 hook and redworm. You will get, especially in the evening hours, you will consistently get really nice bream. I don't think you're going to get the same percentage of trophies that you will on the Ide, but you will get nice bream. Okay, I don't want to make this video super long, so let me show you one other trick. Let's say the bream and the Ide have slowed down, or you just want to target something else. Without moving in this same location, put a large 4 hook, so a much larger hook, and that's mostly to match the bait. The bait is grasshopper. Now, if you throw it in, same spot, 50 to 80% out. We'll tighten that up. Now you're targeting chub, and there are good chub in this spot as well. I just want to show you the map real quick. This is a huge hole, 6.5 meter. It goes a long distance. So don't feel like you always have to cast the same spot. You can cast different angles for sure. Alright, let's see what's on the redworm. I told you about the bream. This should be a really nice bream here. Sub trophy, but probably between 2 and 3 kilos the way it's pulling on this picker rod. Let's see if I'm correct on that weight. And by the way, we are using that same ground bait on the grasshopper for the chub as well. 2.3 kilo bream. That is a nice bream. So if you're catching bream, if you're catching Ide, or if you're catching the chub here, you're making good silver. I'm making this video, it's 20:43 in game right now. It is going to be the case that this time of day, you're going to have the best success. More trophies will come out this time of day. The bite rate will be higher. If you target bream or the Ide early in the day instead of the late evening and overnight hours, and there's the first chub. He's undersized, but that just shows you you can target chub here, and you will catch some nice ones too. That one's a small one, but you'll catch some nice ones. But during the day, the bite rate will slow down a little bit, but what's most annoying, especially if you're going for bream, what's most annoying is during the day, you'll just catch more undersized bream. The big ones come out in the evening, right? But that's okay, because what do you do with those? You turn them into fish pieces, you go to quarry, and you catch some really nice fatty burbots that will also make you lots of silver. And this is something strange here. Oh, that's an Ide, isn't it? Yeah, okay, a little undersized Ide on redworm. Redworm will mostly get you bream species, but you will sometimes catch the Ide as well on those. And again, if you haven't fished this spot at all, the first thing I would do is spend a couple of in-game days just targeting the Ide, because I still think that right now the highest rate of trophies seems to be on Ide compared to anything else that we're feeder fishing for at Volkhov. But as you fish out the Ide a little bit, it is a good option to switch over to the bream, because you'll get a lot of nice bream here as well. You can see we've just been fishing for a few minutes. We've already got tons of markers, combination of bream and Ide. And it's really good silver. I have last few days been fishing this spot a good bit on this account, and have averaged a really nice amount of silver. You're also catching fish that often come up on cafe orders, and so all the way around it is a great spot. And hopefully I have done an okay job of explaining how I'm approaching it. Please, if you have any questions, feel free to leave them at the bottom of this video. Comments, feedback. If you want to come join us, remember, come to Twitch at mdog gaming, join our in-game chat. We're having a good time. It's been some good fishing lately, and I would love to see you join us, so please do. Maybe we'll pull out a marker chub here before we go. Looks good. All right, as always, thanks for watching, and tight lines.